My name is Harriet Simmons, a 32-year-old housewife with a part-time job. My husband Charles is 2 years older than me, and we have an almost 5-year-old daughter, Catherine. We are a family of 3. Charles works as a department head in the production management division of a clothing manufacturing company. After graduating college, I took a job as a customer service representative at a bank in the suburbs. Charles and I met through a mutual friend. Compared to my outgoing personality, Charles was a bit reserved. He was the kind of guy who made you want to protect him. We dated for a year before he proposed and we got married. Catherine was born the following year. My mother came from a place well known for its matriarchal society. I guess I inherited that trait from her, as I tend to take the lead in our household. Now that Catherine has started kindergarten, I work part-time at a local grocery store about 3 times a week. My parents handed over their house to me after they retired early and relocated to a second-hand villa near a ski resort. The house we as a family currently live in is the one they bestowed. My father, who began making pizza as a hobby, even opened up with a small pizza shop. It's located along the main road and is doing fairly well. My mother is renowned for her crepes made with the flour used for pizza. Their establishment has an unusual reputation as a cafe where you can enjoy homemade pizza or a pizza place where you can have delicious crepes. While my parents enjoy a tranquil retirement, my in-laws, who live about 30 minutes away by car, are quite a handful. My mother-in-law comes from a noble family and my father-in-law was adopted into the family through marriage. Naturally, my mother-in-law is a dominant figure, adoring Charles, my husband, and their heir. My husband is unmistakably a mama's boy, frequently visiting his childhood home. My mother-in-law has been persistently urging us to give her a grandson. When Catherine and I visit, she barely acknowledges her granddaughter, constantly pushing me to quickly give birth to a boy. Even when I take my daughter for a visit, she has to reintroduce herself. "Grandma, my name is Catherine. Haven't you remembered it yet?" "Oh, is that so? Well, either way, it's fine." "That is why I hate you, Grandma." "She really has no charm at all. Who does she take after?" she would say, frowning in my direction. Because she's a child, she's just being honest. I never voiced it out loud, but I see it softly in my heart. Due to this, Catherine never warms up to her grandmother. Incidentally, as my father-in-law is practically a non-entity, Catherine seems to have no interest in him either. Our relationship with my in-laws was gradually becoming distant because it was always like this. On the other hand, Catherine is adored by my parents and she clings to them too, proclaiming, "I love Grandpa's pizza and Grandma's crepes." My mother-in-law still calls my husband my baby boy. And they are always talking together. My husband repeatedly says, "Mommy, mommy." Truly a mama's boy. It gives me the chills. When my mother-in-law sees my face, she says, "Harriet, our family is prestigious. We need a male heir. A daughter won't do. Please give birth to a son quickly." It's not easy to just give birth to a son, so I brush her out with all due respect, but then she would say, "The grandchild of our neighbor is a boy. They must be so happy to have a good daughter-in-law," and sighs, implying as if I am at fault. I don't care if they are a noble family or a prestigious family, they are just so outdated. As my father-in-law was adopted into the family, he just nods in agreement without opposing my mother-in-law. I endured this lifestyle because I love Catherine. However, my husband would start saying, "If only Catherine was a boy," whenever the opportunity arose. When I asked, "Isn't a girl good enough?" he would reply, "That's because my mommy says." And then my mother-in-law, who heard our exchange from my husband, would always call, "Why are you bullying my baby boy? Can't you cherish your husband even though you are his wife?" I would retaliate against such remarks. "Oh, do you cherish my father-in-law? I haven't heard his voice for a while now." "What did you say? You she-devil, if you bully my baby again, I won't let it go." If I'm a devil, then you're a demon. You should stop being so attached to your child. I was now at war with my mother-in-law. Then one day, my husband approached me with a discussion. My parents want to go on a trip, so I want to help them out a bit." He requested to arrange about $1,000. Where do you think we have that kind of money? You do know how much your salary is, don't you? Well, you understand, right? Even we want to go on a trip. I vented my usual frustrations on him. But both my parents are old now. Their legs will get weak soon and they won't be able to travel. They say they want to go to places they want to while they can. He's trying to appeal to my emotions by saying it's filial piety. I understand how you feel, but can't they manage with their own money? After arranging various travel items, it seems they didn't have enough for the actual travel expenses. It's their lack of planning that got them into this mess, just like you. But Harriet, don't you feel bad for them? Not at all. I'm not going to strain myself just to please them. Enough is enough. But there will be no buts or knees. I shut him down with a dad joke. Standing with my arms crossed, I towered over my husband who shrank in front of me. My daughter, Catherine, who had been watching the whole time, clapped her cute little hands, saying, "Mama, you're so cool." In the end, Charles, unable to arrange the money himself, shifted the responsibility to me and phoned my mother-in-law. That useless wife of yours can't even do a little filial piety. She's not a real family member. Do something about it. She works part-time, doesn't she? She should have some savings. We don't have much time before the trip, so hurry up. Finally, unable to stand up to my scary mother-in-law, Charles quietly withdrew $1,000 from Catherine's account. When I found out, I was livid and stormed over to my in-laws' house. "Mother-in-law, I need to talk to you about the trip." "Oh, what's the matter all of a sudden? Don't play dumb. What do you mean by demanding travel money?" "Well, your husband willingly gave it as a part of filial piety, didn't he? What's wrong with that?" Right from the start, it was a total combat mode. He took it from our daughter's saving. You know, this isn't acceptable, right? I couldn't care less. She's going to be married off anyway. Spending money on her is a waste. What are you talking about? She is my precious child. Saving and spending money on our child is our responsibility. With a long-suffering expression, my mother-in-law retorted, "I can't believe we have such a woman as our daughter-in-law. She can't even bear an heir and is utterly useless at home. I didn't marry into your family. If you want an heir so badly, why don't you give birth to one?" With that, I stormed out of my in-laws' house. Anyway, I decided to make Charles repay that $1,000 from his pocket money. After their trip, my mother-in-law returned and summoned Charles and Catherine to their house. Though I was curious, my main concern was preparing for Catherine's 5th birthday. Planning a birthday party for a child this age is tricky. Who to invite? Obviously, I have to invite the children who invited Catherine to their parties. But there's a limit to how many people we can accommodate. Plus, what about food? And I still have to think about a present for Catherine. And our family party at night. My brain was at its limit. Oh, my brain needs sugar. I need to replenish the glucose. So I ate 3 of my favorite puddings and managed to devise a plan. Just as I was feeling a bit relieved, Charles and Catherine returned from my in-laws. But to my surprise, my usually lively daughter suddenly retreated to her room. When I asked Charles what happened, he responded, "Nothing, really." No, something's wrong. Our greetings at home were always high-spirited to match my enthusiastic daughter Catherine. It was our unspoken promise. This had never happened before. When I went to check on Catherine, she was sobbing. "What happened? Grandma told me that I am unwanted and shouldn't come home. So I had to stay outside all the time." What? I couldn't believe what had happened. "I was given a bottle of water, so I had to stay outside, even though it was really hot." And where was your dad? "Dad was inside eating watermelon with Grandma." What? I stormed out of the room and confronted Charles. "What's going on? Why did you leave Catherine outside in this heat? Aren't you ashamed as a father, as a human, to be comfortable while your child is suffering?" My anger erupted, but unusually, Charles was defiant. "She was just noisy, so I made her stay outside. I made sure she stayed hydrated, so what's the problem?" This is unacceptable. It's normal for kids to be a bit noisy. As I raised my voice even more, Charles tried to change the topic. "Among our relatives' children, Catherine is the only noisy one. Maybe girls really aren't good. My mommy also said this. She wants a boy soon." What are you even talking about? It doesn't matter if we get a boy or a girl. Babies are a gift from above. Today, Charles seemed unusually authoritative. Influenced by his mother, perhaps?
If you're going to act like this, I might consider divorce.
You would go that far? My body started shaking with anger. I never knew he could be this kind of man.
My mommy said divorce that devil of a wife soon and find a younger one. I'm starting to think she might be right.
I see. I have thoughts of my own. But remember, Catherine's birthday is coming up. I want you to celebrate it properly.
All right, let's both cool our heads and talk later.
I realized unexpectedly how Charles and my in-laws truly think. I couldn't master the energy to cook dinner that day, so Catherine and I ate at a nearby diner. Charles said he was going back to his parents' place and drove off again. Later, he contacted me saying that he would be staying at his parents' place for a while and would return for Catherine's birthday. I lied to Catherine, saying, "Daddy went home because Grandma is sick." Catherine responded, as if she was trying to understand in her own way. I revealed everything that had happened to my parents.
Put the happiness of your child first. If she's happy, then you will be happy, right? We are on your side, Harriet and Catherine. If you want, you can come here. No, we would be delighted to see our granddaughter every day.
My father responded with a smile. My parents' house has plenty of space for us to move back in. Catherine's school is a bit far, but it should be fine. More than anything, the nature there is superb. Even if we end up separating, the word divorce floated in my head. Then came Catherine's birthday. I had informed Charles about the party and its starting time. We had planned to have a birthday party with Catherine's friends during the day and a family party at night. However, Charles did not return even when the scheduled time arrived. "Daddy is late, isn't he? What happened?" Catherine asked. "Well, Daddy's busy, so he might be a bit late." I replied, even though I thought he was much too late. About an hour past the scheduled time, I found it peculiar and called Charles. "What's going on? Aren't you coming home yet?"
Oh, it's you. What's up at this hour?
He responded, "What do you mean, what's up? Today is Catherine's birthday. You said you would come. Catherine is waiting for you without touching her food."
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
His response seemed a little tipsy and frivolous.
Right now, I'm in Australia with Mom. We're staying at a resort hotel and enjoying a luxurious vacation per her wish. We plan to be here for 3 weeks. By the way, the wine in Australia is surprisingly good.
Wait, what? Australia? What are you thinking for getting Catherine's birthday?
Oh, who cares about that? I don't care.
As if to cover for Charles's outrageous comment, I heard my mother-in-law's voice. "Who's that? The demon wife? Just ignore her. We don't need the useless woman who can't give birth to a boy anymore." Charles took that as a cue and said,
I think the same. I'm considering a divorce and decided to have an extravagant family vacation. We're having a good time, so stop calling.
Then he hung up. What just happened? With a bad feeling, I checked our joint bank account. What is this? The balance was zero. Almost 300,000 of savings had been withdrawn. He used this money to go to Australia with his parents? Shocked, I collapsed on the floor. Tears wouldn't stop flowing. Catherine, worried, came over and asked, "Mommy, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Isn't Daddy coming?" I'm sorry, sweetheart. Daddy won't be coming today." "He isn't, but it's okay because Mommy is here. Catherine loves Mommy the most," she said, hugging me. No, she was comforting me. I hugged Catherine as I cried, "Catherine, Mommy will always protect you." At that moment, something inside me broke. The next day, I took action. I went to the government office and gathered necessary documents. I decided to settle everything and move back to my parents' house. I swore to myself that I would shatter everything. I received a text from Charles accompanied by a photo of him and his mother in Australia saying, "The luxurious trip is fun. No souvenirs as a punishment. I'll call you when we get to the station, so come pick us up." His message seemed very assertive. Maybe he felt stronger with his mother. Who would bother picking them up? I moved my belongings to my parents' house and began to organize Charles's things. When I explained the situation to my friend at work, she sided with me. Amazingly, her husband works for a moving company and they agreed to transport the luggage. They said they would charge the cost to my in-laws and they could also keep their belongings, so I decided to leave it to them. Then my daughter and I went to my parents' house where we were kindly welcomed. Seeing my parents' face, I started to cry again. Eventually, the day of Charles's return approached. Just as I was beginning to settle down at my parents' house, I received a text from him.
I've arrived at the station. Please come pick us up.
Of course, I ignored it. There were multiple calls and texts, but I let them all go unanswered. Eventually, he must have arrived at his parents' house. I received a call from the landline. Thinking it was about time, I answered the phone.
Why aren't you answering my calls despite the numerous attempts? Explain yourselves.
I'm done. I have lost all desire to continue being your wife. Let's get a divorce as you wished.
Wait, are you serious? Divorce? You mean divorce?
Seems like that's what you and your precious mommy want.
What? Anyway, let's come down and talk this over when I get home.
After the call ended with that exchange, the phone rang again immediately.
Hey, a truck from the moving company is at my parents' house and they're unloading tons of luggage. What's this all about?
Oh, that's your stuff. I thought you'd be returning soon, so I had it delivered. Please make sure to pay for the delivery charge and storage fees. Packing was a lot of work, but I'll consider that a service.
Stop joking around. Calm down. I'm heading over there now.
And then he hung up. My daughter and I ate my mother's homemade crepes and excitedly awaited the moment. Looking at the wall clock, just as I thought it was about time, the phone rang. Hello?
Hey, I just got home and there's nothing here.
Oh, doesn't it look nice and clean?
No. What is this? I don't understand. Where are you? Is Catherine with you?
Charles, who had returned to our house, was stunned to see it completely empty. Yes, Catherine is with me. Say hi to Daddy, sweetheart. Hello? Catherine is having grandma's crepes.
Are you at your mother's house?
Yes, that's right. We had pizza for lunch. It was yummy. After taking the phone back from Catherine, I said, a lawyer will contact you about the divorce soon, so be prepared.
No, before that, what happened here? The house is gone and the place has turned into an empty lot.
It seemed Charles was surprised about something else. I sold it. The land fetched a decent price, but the house wasn't worth much. So I turned it into an empty lot. Yes, I wanted to settle everything cleanly, so I handled everything while they were on vacation.
What did you do with the money from selling the land? I had the right to receive some of it.
The land was inherited by me before we got married, so you don't have any rights to it. It's my personal asset.
So what will happen to Catherine?
Moving on to the question of custody. You have the nerve to ask that even after leaving your child alone like that? If I leave Catherine with you, her life will be at risk. I will have custody, you will need to pay child support, and also I will be requesting a fair distribution of assets. I can't believe you squandered our savings. I will claim that amount back. Let's discuss this with our lawyers.
What's going to happen to me?
He asked. Who do you think you're asking that question? I couldn't care less. Just like your beloved mother told you, go find a young woman to bear your heir.
We're not even divorced yet.
Tell that to my lawyer. Not wanting to deal with him anymore. I want you to know, I have no intention of reconciling with you now. I'm going to start preparing dinner, so goodbye. I said and hung up. Mom, you're so cool. Catherine clapped her hands. Then we started the divorce negotiations and I left everything to my lawyer. As expected, he brought his mother along. She insisted that everything was my fault and that her darling Charles was innocent. I discussed it thoroughly with my lawyer and I decided not to demand alimony, but I asked for a share of the assets, including the misappropriated amount and child support for Catherine. Charles was complaining, but when I threatened to take it to family court, if we couldn't reach an argument, he reluctantly accepted. My ex-parents-in-law sold their house to pay off the settlement and child support, which I received in a lump sum. Once things had settled, Catherine started attending a new kindergarten and made new friends. She's growing up to be a strong and lively child nurtured by the rich nature around us. Thanks to my previous experience as a bank employee, I found work at a local agricultural cooperative. I have become good friends with local farmers and sometimes they give me vegetables. And then one day, some old friend from where we used to live visited and told me about Charles. Apparently, he is doing as his mother told him and is actively seeking a young woman to marry. He was persistently hitting on a young woman at his workplace, but his creepiness and insistence caused all the women there to despise him, and he ended up quitting his job. Now he's working as a part-time job at a construction company that's all men. It seems he's developed a fear of women. My ex-mother-in-law is still pushing her son to remarry for the sake of family continuity. But there can't be many women who would marry a part-timer with a fear of women. Their noble family is sure to die out. I bet she's still blaming everything on me, but I don't care. Meanwhile, I have started dating a man I met at work who's also divorced and has a child in the same kindergarten class as Catherine. We are both single parents and our relationship is progressing with a view to the future. I bought a used car. Australia is out of the question, but Catherine and I occasionally drive to the nearby mountains and rivers. Since coming here, I have seen her smile a lot more. I realize that my life is dedicated to protecting her smile. Thankfully, my parents are still healthy and working. Along with my new partner, we dream of selling homemade pizza, crepes, and ready-to-eat dishes made with fresh, pesticide-free vegetables produced by local farmers at a nearby roadside station. Today, Catherine and I drove our old car to the river. The sky we looked up to was blue. As I watched Catherine stack pebbles from the stream, I took a deep, calming breath.